So, Kamen Rider Geats episode 24. I honestly don't know what I can say about this episode or if I can say a lot about this episode because this episode was mostly a clip show with some brand new information. They do flip the script on this episode and bring up and dive into a brand new story arc we'll be getting next week, so we do get some really interesting plot revelations, but the first half of this episode is mostly a clip show with some original footage thrown in there that make it seem like the characters are learning as they're watching all this stuff and learning about the world building going around from the supporters. But like I said, this episode was mostly a clip show. And I really like the whole concept of where I thought it was going because we had sort of the producers sitting down and they were sort of recapping everything, and then you had our heroes watching after what happened last week where they were kind of like caught in the explosion and they somehow survived, but they don't explain how they survived. They're just back chilling with their supporters watching the game. But it is what it is. But this episode also brought up the brand new thing that sort of flipped the script on its head in this episode, and that is, it's no longer the frickin' Desire Grand Prix. It's now being called the Jamato Grand Prix, and that is frickin' crazy to learn that it's basically flipped on side its head, and now the Jamato are taking center stage as their goal in this whole series moving forward is to basically kill the producer and get his belt. And that means they're just running through the city and killing innocent civilians, mowing down people left, right, and center, anyone who gets in their way. But it looks like the Jamato have kind of started their own game. They've kind of hijacked the airwaves, which I wasn't expecting them to do that. I mean, when I saw the images of Beraba on the sort of chair on like the Toei preview clips, I was thinking, oh, what's going on here? Are we going to sort of get her recapping stuff? Which she kind of does. She does sort of recap, saying the Jamato was sort of fodder for the game, and when they got fed human fertilizer, they developed sentience, and now they're evolving and all that stuff. And that's when we get the lead in to the game. And then she sort of teasily plays with Michigaga Buffer, saying, hey, you're half Jamato, you've got to get involved. And it sucks that like next week we're getting all the cool Buffer stuff from the leaks that we saw, which I'm really excited to see Buffer getting a brand new power-up. I say brand new power-up, but he's basically using one of the buckles. But I'm excited to see where the show is going to go next week, especially moving forward. So this episode, we also got to see the sponsors transform into their forms. We got to see the identity of the frog dude. He's pretty cool. He seems pretty cool. But we get to see their henchins. We get to see Neon supporter, Kyun, and freaking Kekera, him, and they transform into these terrible CGI frogs and griffin things, whatever they are, and they're not the best looking. They're not terrible, but they're very CGI, and I was disappointed in them seeing them transform into that. I thought they would have some kind of cool Raiden motif, but they're basically freaking mechs from Sentai they turn into, and yeah, it is what it is. Cool action scene, but very CGI with them jumping around, but I was expecting something cooler in the form of a more traditional rider form. Now, despite this episode being a clip show, it did have some cool moments in there with our main three riders, such as when they all went down to check on what's going on when the city was being invaded by the Jamato. You have Ace going down where Ace says, I'm going for a walk, and then when we cut back to that scene, you see Neon and Kei were there, and Ace says, I nearly said Awa, and then Ace says to them saying, what are you doing down here? Like, you know that the game's on hold right now, you won't get any points for fighting these Jamato. And they're like, we know, but why are you down here? And Ace gives this like sort of cheeky response, and then that's when they start fighting together, which we do get to see some really cool scenes of them using their powers and stuff like that, the beat form and the ninja form. And then you have Ace using the boost Magnum form, which was really freaking cool to see in this episode, because there's this scene where he sort of gives the beat down on one of the Jamato, and it's really freaking cool. Like, you hear the ready, fight, and then he starts wailing on the guy. I'm hoping that someone like does some kind of Tekken overlay with that. That was really cool. I really enjoyed that scene. But then also, like I said, you had the reveal of the supporters, or the other two supporters, and them henching in the episode, and you see what they look like, and it's mixed opinions. The scans made them look more uglier than the upscaled scans made them look a bit ugly. Seeing them in like show form, they do look a bit weird and out of place, but like I said, I wasn't expecting them to turn into like mechas from Sentai in this episode. I mean, that kind of threw me for a loop. I thought we'd actually get like a frog-based rider or something, or like whatever Kyun's meant to be, like a griffin, a winged lion apparently. Yeah, that's all I've got to say. I mean, this whole Jamato Grand Prix sounds interesting now that they've started it, and we're going to have sort of the Grand Desire Prix and the Desire Grand Prix and the Jamato Grand Prix going on at the same time. So we're going to have these sort of two different teams butting heads, which makes sense with the opening where you have our three main heroes with them in the opening, and then you've sort of got Buffer's squad with Daichi in there. So I'm wondering if more slots are going to fill up on Daichi's side when people turn heel and they join their side for their own purposes. I wonder what characters will join that side later down the line, because I feel like Daichi and Buffer can't carry that team alone, even though they've got frickin' what's-her-face on their side, and she's really broken with that henshin form, with her giant mech form. I wonder if more characters will we'll see new characters or characters we've met switch sides, so that should be cool to see, or interesting to see later down the line. But either way, this episode, it was okay, even though it's a clip show. I recommend not skipping it because of the whole Jamato Grand Prix twist halfway through the episode. That's something you got to pay attention to, because if you watch the start of it and be like, oh man, this is a clip show, I'm going to skip it. If you tune in next week or you watch the next episode, then you are going to be lost. So you might have to watch this clip show, but I'm sure you can scrub through it and realize what's important, what's not important when you watch it in your own time. But, yeah, it was an okay episode. I'm excited for next week's, and along with next week will be the debut of King Oja, which I'm excited to see. But anyway, guys, what did you think of Kamen Rider Geats episode 24? Love it, hate it? Tell me in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. With that said, I'm out of here. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful day or night. I'll see you guys later. Peace out. Take care. Bye.